Do these animals deserve the same protections given to other species? Or should they just be left to die?
These creatures were here before us. And if we're not careful, they're gonna be here after.
Welcome to Space Action Podcast, an extension of Space Action Heroes, which you can find at spaceactionheroes.com. I'm Chris Carson. Oh, where's DC this week? Looks like I'll be handling the podcast all on my own. So we're going to be...
I'm right fucking here. Alright, this week, folks, we are doing a double feature like they used to do back in the day.
Ooh, for a nickel.
We got on the docket today, entering the courtroom, Jurassic World 2, aka Jurassic Park 5, The Fallen Kingdom, and The Incredibles Adults.
Number 2. 15 years later. 15?
15 years later. I think it was 2004 was the first one.
Something insane.
It's nuts.
It's crazy. So I guess, we want to say right away, spoilers from here on out.
Spoilers for everything.
And to just start into Jurassic World, we should
Frozone dies.
Wait, what? Did I watch the same movie? For Jurassic World, let's just break down the plot of the Jurassic World, which is basically a volcano's going to destroy the island. Claire is now a animal conservationalist person.
Because she didn't see I rewatched the first one right before I went. She didn't give zero fucks for those animals in the first one, so I guess that's her arc now.
It seemed like a response to the critique that she was really a shallow character, so they were like, we need to beef this character up.
So they just turned her into Julianne Moore in the second movie?
Basically, but with like a Frappuccino and an office in like Manhattan instead of actually being out in the field.
Yeah.
So then she's tricked by Hammond's old partner, who was retconned into the series, to go to the island so they could steal the dinosaurs, to auction off, to make money, to militarize a dinosaur, and then shit happens. There's a little girl clone. We'll get into all this.
What the shit? There was a little girl clone. I forgot.
Little girl clone who lets the dinosaurs go and begins
and dooms humanity forever.
And begins the dawn of the planet of the dinosaurs.
Yep.
And the end. That's the movie. And as I was watching it, because there wasn't a lot of people around me, I kept a running list of comments as it was happening. So I figured we could just go through that and discuss each point.
Okay. Can I start off by saying I rewatched Jurassic World, and I still don't get what you see in that movie. But can I say this much before we inevitably shit in the mouth of this thing? I did like the way this one got rid of the goofy ass tone of that first movie.
Oh, the hipster tone.
I did not enjoy it. Like, it really stuck out like a sore thumb. It made me realize that's kind of what my biggest problem was with that one. It reminded me too much of number 3 in terms of its like dopiness.
Tone. But
really
then,
dopey.
But then this one was so paint by numbers.
But
this one could have been Dinosaur Island.
See, now,
right?
I think before we get into your points, the reason I mean, it's not really a surprise or breaking any new ground here, but the reason I think the first one is so effective and every sequel after that has been just
not great,
phoning it in. I mean, essentially just a bad copy of the Alien franchise. But the first one, because it's glory that leads into horror, because dinosaurs exhibit both. In the first one, it's all logical. It's corporate greed facilitates
It's entertainment,
horror. Yeah. It was meant to be this spectacular thing, but then this dude fucks everybody over because of corporate greed, takes the thing, and then horror is unleashed. So now, get out of the island, shit's done.
Yeah.
The problem I have with all these new ones, and it really stuck out while I was watching Jurassic World, is that fucking Malcolm says it himself in the second one. It's how it always starts, and then there's running and screaming.
Yeah.
So you know the running and screaming is going to start, and like the reasons why are becoming really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm like, this one just felt like a fan film version of Lost World. Like it was
even Giacchino used the Lost World-esque theme, his own little version of it.
Yeah, and it really just kind of had the same beats as as Lost World. I was just like, why are you doing this again? Like,
well, let me just say in defense of Jurassic World, because I gushed over Jurassic Park during our 25th anniversary podcast, and the thing that I think I like so much is just the basic idea of corporate entertainment making dinosaurs, they run amok, you escape. As soon as it becomes a Lost World situation or a Jurassic Park 3 situation or a Fallen Kingdom situation, I check out.
Yeah.
And that's why I like Jurassic World, because it felt like a classic sequel Where it's like the first one was about before the park opened. This one, the park is open,
Right.
and the same kind of shit happens. So, again, I completely recognize it's not a great movie, but it's enough of a direct sequel to Jurassic Park, while maintaining the themes of the original film that I appreciate it.
Okay.
Because as soon as it's something else, I'm like, I don't care. Like, this Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom could have literally been called Dinosaur Island Fallen Kingdom. It had nothing to really do with Jurassic Park.
Yeah, they really tried to kind of, especially towards the end when they were leaning into, like, the clone daughter, about, like, should we be playing God, the genetics? I'm like, no. This message was already done better
Way
three
better.
movies ago. Like, you're really beating around the bush at this point.
And I gotta say, like, Michael Crichton, he went through so many options of how to clone a dinosaur. Like, why a dinosaur would be brought back, right? Like, he went through, he was like, would it be this, would it be that? And he landed on corporate entertainment. That's the only way you're going to clone a dinosaur, corporate entertainment.
Okay.
So as soon as they started interjecting, and again, it's the one part of Jurassic World that I really do truly loathe, is dino army soldiers, dinosaur soldiers.
Yep.
Makes no sense. Like, because again, to reference back to Michael Crichton, he was interviewed about this. Like, why did you choose corporate entertainment? He's like, nothing else made sense.
Yeah.
There's no other reason anyone would bring back a dinosaur. So ever since they started injecting dinosaur soldiers, it was just the stupidest thing. And this one is predicated on dinosaur soldiers again.
Laser guided
Dinosaur soldiers. They're selling the animals in order to make money to fund dinosaur soldier research.
Which kills me
And
because...
it's just the stupidest thing.
And remember, right before Jurassic World came out, people on the internet freaked out because all this concept art leaked out of, like, these hybrid dinosaur soldier people.
Right. No, that was the original art for Part 3. It was re-leaked. Yeah.
I think it'd be shittier. But they won't let go of it. Mm-hmm. And the only reason I can think of, sincerely, is the Alien franchise.
And Planet of the Apes now. This one felt like it was really, pun intended, aping the Planet of the Apes. It really felt like it, because now it's Dinosaur World.
Right.
Now it's going to be Man versus Dinosaur in Part 3. War for the planet of the Jurassic Park.
Like Jurassic War, I guess they were called, or something.
It really felt like they were taking more inspiration, if anything, was from the Apes trilogy.
Yeah. Anyways, let's go through your points.
Let's go through my points. So, remember, I'm just in theater, I'm just watching it, and I'm like, nah. So the first thing was, right off the bat, the dude goes, there she is, the Indominus Rex. And that made me burst out laughing, because the whole opening is the Henry Wu's evil minions are going to the island to get the Indominus Rex's bone, so they can make more dino super soldiers. And just that delivery, it was like, there she is, the Indominus Rex, like it's some big, mythical, wonderful thing that as audiences we've all grown to love. It's like saying, he delivered it the same way you'd say, there she is, the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Right.
But it was for the Indominus Rex. And all I could think about was, oh, right, because Universal wants to copyright dinosaur names because it makes more money, so they're trying to play this shitty dinosaur up to be as big as the Rex. So that, right out of the gate, I was laughing my ass off.
I thought I didn't really that much. The one thing I wrote down was kind of like, as I was rewatching Jurassic World and at the end of that movie, it really started to land what the overall tone of, like, oh no, this is just their new crew of ongoing, like, we need a trilogy, so here are 3 main players, and they have a pet dinosaur named Blue. He's like Flipper, right?
Yeah.
He's like their Flipper now. And then, like, it really kind of sunk in whenever they're fighting the Indominus Rex. And Blue's literally piggybacking on the classic Jurassic Park T-Rex. It kind of reminded me of The Force Awakens, seeing sequel trilogy Rey living off the remains of the original trilogy.
Wow, I never even thought about that, but that is a great breakdown of the entire new Star Wars, isn't it?
And like that's kind of how this Jurassic World kind of felt like the same thing. And so the second you're like, the Indominus Rex, I'm like,
Indominus Rex!
They're really keeping it tight. Like, they're trying to, I don't think they've acknowledged Site B or anything from 2 and 3, right?
No, that's completely
It's Jurassic Park strictly.
Yeah, Isla Nublar. They haven't even mentioned Isla Sorna.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're going to have to come back to that because, well, we'll get to the end of the movie eventually, but it's a dinosaur world with a bunch of sterile females running around. So with a lysine contingency.
Also, can they reproduce asexually?
Well, remember they had the whole DNA from a frog. From
they can change its sex.
But those were the original dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So these are all new dinosaurs, except for the T-Rex.
Apparently, except for that T-Rex,
who should have died from a lysine contingency.
But didn't they say in number 2 that those lysine-rich plants
that was on Site B because the herbivores are eating all the material on Site B, the whatever beans, lima beans, I think, and the predators are eating the herbivores. Yeah. But in the actual time, it was never said in a movie, but I think it was like expanded material. They were like, no, we firebombed Isla Nublar. So it was just like a fan jerk off to bring Rexy back in the first place. But
Lame.
all these things should be dying from lysine. Anyways, my next point was in all caps, lava-based opening credits.
Oh my god! I thought of you immediately when I saw it, because we're both people that, like, if you see a bad opening credit thing, like, it's like, uh-oh. That was worse than the 3 scratch.
Oh, yeah.
I was, like, the way it zoomed and, like, whirled around, I'm like, this is not the tone.
This is not bode well. That was because, like, as horrible as that 3 scratch was, it's like, at least it's dinosaur related.
It fit. This had, I don't know what the shit that was supposed to be. The lava thing is like the first half of the movie.
Yeah,
and that's it.
That's it. Not even. It's. I think they spend literally less than 10 minutes on Isla Nublar on Jurassic Park, because it's the preamble getting there lasts for like half an hour.
It does. It takes a longest time.
Then they're there for 10-15 minutes, and then it's the pointless adventures to keep the characters to give them something to do. At one point, they have to give a raptor a blood transfusion, and it doesn't impact the plot in any way, shape, or form.
Except just to get that one scene, the T-Rex pen.
Except to give them something to do on the ride, yeah. Because they needed to have them something to do. My next point was John Hammond's retconned partner, old wise James Cromwell.
Yeah.
So is the implication that he voted him off the board in the Lost World? Do you remember that?
Oh, that's right. There's a bunch of them that say all of them on the board voted him off.
Voted you
right?
off, and his slimy little nephew comes in and steals it from him.
So wait, but like, would that old man, wouldn't his sleazy son be the one to taking his place?
Was that his son?
Sorry, no, it was his...
It was his murderer is who it was.
Were they even related?
But I don't think so. I think he was just like the head of the company. But that was back in 1997. So he would have, that's like...
Right-hand man.
20 years ago. So he would have been a 10-year-old, his right-hand man.
A very sadistic and cutthroat 10-year-old in a business suit.
Murdering him.
That's correct.
So stupid.
That's correct.
I laughed really hard at, there's a scene where she goes, and Bryce Dallas Howard goes to Chris Pratt and says, you gotta help us, which is a horrible idea. Jeff Goldblum is right when they're all whispering murderer. He's like, let them die. They're monsters. He's absolutely right. Yeah. But the great thing is, though, at the end of the film, she makes the right choice and decides to let them die. It's that stupid fucking clone.
They're like me.
Bryce Dallas Howard makes the right choice, and she
which I thought was it would have been a great note to end the movie on, of her just accepting, like, I kind of fucked up here. I have to take response. And yes, it's tragic and sad, but like,
but these are monsters we created.
Exactly. These things they're not doing great. I think God wants them fucking dead.
They're not dinosaurs, technically.
They're frog monsters.
Even a reference in universe in Jurassic World, Dr. Wu says, "Oh, these dinosaurs would look a lot different if we didn't make them how we wanted them to look." So they're not even dinosaurs. They're just monsters. They're just giant lumps of monster. Oh, Davey. So I thought that was hilarious. Sorry. It was when Owen's considering going to the island, he's watching a video of him playing with baby raptors. And it like this emotional scene, and again I burst out laughing. I was like, "What is happening?"
That was pretty ridiculous. And my favorite was whenever that girl finds it on
Clonosaurus,
the clone. She finds it on the fucking computer. I'm like, "What are the odds you would both have this exact same footage readily available?"
I recognize you. It's to keep her able to recognize him at the end of the film. Okay, let's get going because we gotta get to Incredibles 2. So I'm just gonna run through it.
Do it, bro. This fucking thing.
Oh, did you notice the moment aimed at like tubby guys with beards was that James Cromwell had a Jurassic Park action figure set?
Did he?
In his, because remember the camera panned down and it was the original Isla Nublar, and then it was the original guest center. And I thought, oh, maybe he just has the original, because, you know, engineers build those little mock-ups. But then it kept panning down, and there were actual dinosaur action figures set up on it.
Did he have the actual, with the dino damage and everything?
No, it wasn't the actual
damn it!
Figures, but it was...
That would have been great.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. But it was just like, I could just hear... like the man boys going, I need to get that diorama now.
But this franchise is probably second only to Star Wars for being predicated on merchandising. So.
Yeah, that's why the Indominus Rex and now the Indoraptor even exists. The
design of that Indoraptor was cool. In terms of, like, we've seen a billion different variations of dinosaurs at this point. A black one with a cool yellow streak.
He was
visually, it was very cool.
I agree because I honestly think the I-Rex looks kind of neat because it was the exact same design but black and little. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, it's not a bad design. He's neat. And I'm sure since we found like less than 1% of dinosaur species, something out there probably looked like that. So it's a cool looking dinosaur. All right, here's my controversial point of the podcast. So there's a scene where the military guy, who kind of sounds like the guy from Silence of the Lambs, the military dude, says to the to the girl that goes with them, like the intern or whatever, who's there with the dinosaur program.
The one with the tattoos?
Yeah,
okay.
not Bryce Dallas Howard, good guy. You know, everyone. The only two ladies on the good side of teams are him, and then the clone girl, obviously. But is she even human? That's a discussion. He says, like, you're going to be all right out there, and it's this big showy thing where she turns around, pulls out a tranquilizer dart from his belt, and says, like, I'll be just fine, and pats him on the chest, turns and goes, come on, beefcake, to the guard, and then walks out. So two things. One, you're playing her like a 1950s misogynistic asshole dude in the name of equality, and then two, but you're still predicating power on masculinity.
Right.
You're having a girl
beefcake
act like a dude in order to show she's strong, which still maintains a societal standard that masculine is strong, feminine is weak. So everything about that scene, like, what are you going for here?
It kind of sums up the whole hypocrisy
What
of
the
the
fuck
whole
you going for?
Yeah.
Right?
Like, what are you doing?
Like,
what is the purpose?
Yeah, you're sure. Like, look how strong she is. She's acting like a guy. Not only a guy, but a sexist asshole guy. You're like, oh, yay, go progress.
I'm trying to think. Like,
Let's just keep everyone fighting.
Ever since fucking Tia Leone, they really, like, I haven't seen any consistently good female characters in that franchise. Because Laura Dern's awesome.
Laura Dern's Tia Leone she's just a mom looking for her kid.
Well, Julianne Moore's pretty cool too, but like Tia Leone spends most of that movie screaming like an asshole.
Yeah, she's terrible.
She's irritating. She's like, what's her face in Indy 2? You're just like,
Willie Scott.
Willie,
yeah.
you're like, out of all of them, you stand out like a sore thumb. Like, you're really annoying.
That was the whole concept of bringing civilians back to the island that just completely fell apart. Owen Thunderguns rolls away from lava. That was a point.
Where he was tranquilized, and it turns into a Parks and Rec bit where he's like twitching around on the fucking ground. Yeah,
he's just going, that was rolling away.
Yeah, that was very. That kind of reminded me
From
like
lava.
Watching Han try to speak Wookiees. I was like,
as soon as that started happening, I was like, what the fuck is happening?
I was like, Jesus Christ! Did someone write this scene?
Yeah.
Or did you just come up with this on the day? Like,
and this is just a little weird pacing thing I noticed, where it's like the T-Rex shows up so they can have a scene of the T-Rex as the
every
volcano explodes.
I kind of hate the way the T-Rex has become the Arnold Schwarzenegger of this trilogy, of this franchise.
Rexy, yeah.
She's just this Deus Ex Machina that shows up. It's getting old.
It's getting old. It worked in the first one just fine, because the whole point of the first one is that she was tracking Grant and the kids, so it made sense for her to show up at the end. What was incredulous was that she made no noise getting in there to kill the raptors.
Ninja that fucking
She ninja'd
T-Rex.
in, but they just used that over and over and over again. But the thing that bugged me the most about this was they clearly wanted a scene with the T-Rex. It roars
For the trailer.
Yeah. And then literally the next scene is they have the T-Rex strapped up to a helicopter.
It literally, like, they
From a
pan over
distance.
and the fucking helicopter's got it already. It's like, that took 2 seconds.
2 seconds. So how did
it took
they
like an
even-
entire movie last time.
Yeah. How did they even do that? That
Yeah.
was just hacky writing.
I will admit though, every Jurassic, like, there's a couple staples in Jurassic Park movies. Like like the dude in the button-up blue shirt with the rolled-up sleeves is the good guy. The dude in the suit's usually going to betray them. He's the bad guy.
corporate bad guy.
And also, you need some sort of vehicular escape scene.
Right.
I thought the ball scene was done really well.
Yeah,
I
no.
enjoyed the fuck out of that.
It was again, we're shitting on this movie pretty hard, but I think like it was a well executed film.
Oh, I'll agree with that totally.
It was just a very basic film.
The plot wasn't great, but I did like the execution of a lot of the shit in it.
Except some of the things are ridiculous. But we'll get to those. My next point was the little kid focused adventures were lame because that's not how kids live vicariously. Little kids don't care about little kids in movies. Little kids live vicariously through the main characters.
Right.
So every time you put, like, Lex and Tim were essentially Grant's baggage.
Yeah.
And this one, I know she ended up being Clonosaurus Sally, but but she went on so many little standalone adventures through that mansion where I was like, why, who cares? Like, kids, this isn't how kids.
I really feel like that was it. I remember watching like her little red hoodie and everything. It felt like them trying to inject a little bit of Spielberg adventure
into it.
Yeah,
but that's not how kids live vicariously.
No.
That's not how they do it.
It also, again, kind of stuck the fuck out. There were a lot of scenes in that movie, and I guess it's because number 1, number 2, and number 4 spend so much time on the island that this one, like, it's mostly mainland shit. I'm like, I started being like, I'm sorry, are there fucking are there gonna be dinosaurs in your dinosaur movie?
I really hate that man. When Wu, because apparently Wu is now the supervillain.
Yes.
When he
I
shows
also love that Dr. Wu makes the I-Rex out of spite.
out of spite.
Like, literally, he's like, you told me to make it better, so I did.
Did.
And you're like, what a dick.
again, I had to really stifle a lot of laughter because when he shows up, they actually do like a musical sting when he like steps out of the shadows.
Really funny.
Like, what the fuck? Why is this happening?
All I can think of is Black Dynamite. In Black Dynamite, there's a character named Dr. Fuck. He lives on an island, and he's known for, quote, his nefarious kung fu treachery.
Okay.
And every time they said Dr. Wu, all I could think of was, Dr. Wu and your fucking kung fu treachery, god damn it, you're genetic.
It was because Dr. Wu was just like a dude in the background from the original Jurassic Park. The guy who gets to say, you're supposing that a park filled entirely with females will
My favorite moment
breed.
Dr. Wu has, yes, the eyebrow.
Breed. And then I love that, like, again, Spielberg charm, you're introduced to the character, he's erasing something. You're like, the folly of people. He writes in pencil and he's erasing his mistake. Get it?
Oh,
like,
that's fucking great.
Look, Spielberg and Kubrick used to have days-long conversations. That man knows how to do subliminal shit. Like, if you notice in the first Jurassic Park, we made a butts video of how many times butts show up in Jurassic Park. And the thing is, if you have your characters walking away from the camera, as an audience, you subconsciously feel abandoned. So what perfect way to get you in a sense of vulnerability for a dinosaur attack movie than to have people constantly walk away from the camera? That's just one little thing, right? So Spielberg is the king of subliminal imagery in his films and subliminal actions in his film. Well, actually, Kubrick's the king, but Spielberg's the prince for sure.
Sure, of course.
And so I love that. I love Wu Racing, and for some reason they decided let's make him the main antagonist.
It's so weird. Like, I don't. Why do they need an antagonist in this franchise?
I thought the dinosaurs were.
Exactly. Like, now that you've been cloning, and that's the another problem I'm having with this new wave of Jurassic World is that there's antagonist dinosaurs. Like, it used to just,
I'm gonna get into that.
They just used to be a force of nature, and now
they were animals.
Oh yeah, I can't get into like the fact there's evil dinosaurs now. I'm like,
well, actually, I'm gonna skip ahead to one of my points then, because literally these movies are always supposed to be about dinosaurs aren't monsters, they're animals.
Yes.
And the movie ends with basically a dinosaur-shaped serial killer fighting our heroes with their raptor bro.
Yeah.
So it's like, these are just monsters. They're just movie monsters now.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing animalistic about this. They're acting like Jason Voorhees.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, what is happening? Why is this happening? Oh, and I want to make the point that, like, I hate the idea of dinosaur soldiers, but at least in Jurassic World, Vincent D'Onofrio's character just seemed like a scumbag.
Yeah.
That had a stupid idea.
Yes.
In this one, like, it's the whole auction at the end where they're auctioning them off like it's like a hooker auction.
The end of the movie is a montage of like all the dinosaurs being relocated, them taking like the genetic vials.
Oh, the awkward cutaway of all the little vials of DNA just so they can go to people like us going, aren't they all female with a lysine contingency? No.
Right.
No, Jurassic Dawn of the Jurassic World is happening.
So I guess we're to assume like that means everybody's gonna have a dinosaur. Russia has a dinosaur park. Fucking, like
at that weird like Middle Eastern hooker auction. Do you think that maybe someone there was trying to get a dinosaur to fuck? Like one of the watery-eyed Parasaurolophus or something.
Like
I think
Compy.
Maybe a little. No, I think the ones with the horns. I think I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but it's Parasaurolophus. Yeah, with their big wet eyes. I think
it's got a duck bill.
There was someone there. One of those weird billionaires was like, "I'm going to fuck that dinosaur."
Well, definitely one of them was there to eat one.
Oh, one of them definitely was there to eat one. One of them definitely was there to hunt one.
And then one special person who was there to fuck and then eat one.
And then eat one, and not in that order. I'll let you think about that one. Oh, and then I just wrote in all caps, more little kid adventures when the little girl was running around outside the mansion in the rain and slipping around. Yeah. I literally did write one of the dudes who've been on a dino has desires to fuck it, guaranteed. Probably a Parasaurolophus with the big watery eyes.
You know what bit did kill me? Just because like it really proves how expendable any character in that movie who isn't your two leads... the tech kid and the girl really get shoved back to the background in the third act.
They pull a Vince Vaughn from Lost World. Once they get into the...
Yeah, they're gone. They're just gone.
Yeah.
But my favorite is at one point, because there's a running joke in that movie that the one kid, the hipster kid with the glasses who's scared of the T-Rex perpetually, they keep telling... getting like pulled into different jobs. And at one point, there's like an emergency call, and the guy's like, "Okay, we'll let them know you." And he just turns to some random employee next to him, and it turns around, and it's that guy.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually a pretty fucking funny joke of like this guy just keeps failing his way through this whole thing.
Which again, I guess is a commentary on human error and
Yeah,
ego.
yeah, and like also like we don't know what to do with this character, so literally he's just gonna be like, what's his face from BoJack Horseman, Todd. He just stumbles through life, kind of.
So we get to the dinosaur auction scene, which is all about auctioning dinosaurs to make money to fund their dinosaur super soldier research.
And Zoller comes back.
And do you remember when the raptor runs from an explosion like an action hero?
Jesus the fuck, now I do. Oh my god.
See, this is why I wrote this stuff down.
Lord have mercy.
And they use the same T-Rex escape music sting from the last one. Giacchino must have just cut, copy, and pasted it.
Gotcha.
When Claire opens the gate in Jurassic World and like is running him into the Indominus Rex, they use the same little musical.
Why was there an explosion again? Oh, because the chamber was filling up with gas and an explode. Okay.
Yeah. I loved the romantic scene with Chris Pratt and Blue the dinosaur. Run away with me, Blue. And then Blue's like, nah. And it just bails.
No, you all have fleshy butts, and they upset me.
Goldblum's extra speech was really preachy.
I also love the fact that you clearly tell they got Goldblum for one day.
Oh, yeah.
To film all those, like it was like about an hour's worth of dialogue.
That was like the villain. Okay, here's my question though. Again, on a nitpicky level, at the beginning of the movie, they're making a governmental decision of whether or not to save the dinosaurs. So to bring in Ian Malcolm as a key witness to talk about these creatures makes sense. Once they're off the island, why is he back in the courtroom?
He has more to say.
Can you just come back and tell us how we screwed up?
We need
please?
to bookend this movie. I mean,
it was such a weird preachy thing. It's like you never know when change until it hits you in the face. I'm like, God, this is preachy even for Ian Malcolm.
And like it felt like we just really wanted that one line of "Welcome to Jurassic World" for the trailer,
Welcome
so we had
Jurassic
we
World.
had to fucking get him back for that ridiculous speech.
Didn't you go to Jurassic Park? You shouldn't. All right, but and then I just made the point of shouldn't all like there's a how is it Welcome to Jurassic World when it's a handful of female dinosaurs who can't breed and have a lysine condition. I just made that point again.
But we were talking about earlier. It's probably they can reproduce asexually because of the frog DNA.
The frogs, they're probably just going to fall back on that, even though you'd think they would have changed that.
Because they're not the same dinosaurs from the first time.
Except for Rexy. So you think they would have gone like, hey, maybe when we're making them this time, let's not make them able to reproduce randomly. And is Wu still alive, I guess? He just showed up, twirled his mustache, and bailed.
He goes... I remember he gets pulled onto a helicopter or something.
Does he?
He escapes.
And my point at the very end, as the credits were rolling, were just, it wasn't bad, it was just cliche and ultimately pointless aside from setting up a Jurassic Park universe. Ultimately, and it's a bad sign when before the movie came out they rehired Colin Trevorrow, the director of the first one, to do part 3. If they had been confident in this film's quality, they would have kept the same guy to do part 3.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
I feel kind of bad for that Brachiosaurus on that dock, though.
Oh, the forced emotion.
The audacity to mirror the shot of the Brachiosaurus reveal from the first one. I'm like, how dare you?
But I love Claire's, too. At one point in the movie, she's like, do you remember when you first saw a dinosaur? The wonder? I'm like, you were a corporate stooge in the first movie.
Seriously.
And the whole point of the first movie was that people are bored with this stuff. It was a commentary on this overuse of spectacle. And how corporations ruin everything. I like that message more than just a watered down action movie. You know?
They've really they don't really have a grounded or consistent outlook on these movies. Like they're all over the map. Plot wise, it's always the same thing of just corporations want the dinosaurs.
And it always seems like it was going to lead to a dinosaur world, but I just hoped it never got that far. And now here we are.
And it's just like you've beaten around the bush so many times. You can only go back to the island for so long. You kind of been hinting that the dinosaurs are going to fly out since the second one.
You know, like... I mean, Spielberg said when he made the movie, he was like, I want to set the ending on the mainland because I know that's where these movies are going to go, and I know this is my last one.
It took 3 fucking movies to get there, and it's just like, that's kind of how, like, the second they showed... Oh, Jesus, they showed it in the trailer, the goddamn T-Rex screaming at the
they showed
lion.
Everything in the trailer.
So,
I rewatched the trailer, I was like, this is the whole movie.
The Mosasaurus eating the surfer, I was like, I know how this ends.
Yeah.
Like, they get out. Like, what's the point of watching this? Anyways,
but...
Jurassic World!
Yeah, unless we have more to say, that takes us to...
Supers are no longer in control. I am. Suit up.
I'll be there ASAP.
You better be back ASAP.
It's up to us.
Yeah, baby.
Da da da, ba ba da 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 da. Michael Giacchino, da da da. It's Michael Giacchino Day.
Yeah, he scored
Fucking
both of these. He
A.
kind of seemed like he phoned it in on Jurassic World 2.
Because he was writing that fucking
He
score,
was
dude.
making,
He was making some
Incredibles 2.
Incredibles.
So I'm gonna let you run with Incredibles 2 because I think you liked it more than I did. I didn't hate it or anything. I just didn't love it. So.
Okay, I have to go through the whole fucking thing because
Yeah.
I love the first one.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite. Oh no, actually, Finding Nemo is my favorite, but Incredibles is close second.
I would have to put The Incredibles as a number one.
Yeah.
In terms of just being like, because it's Finding Nemo is unique on its own, which is it's cutting new territory. But Incredibles was like, we're gonna tell a superhero story without using any of the major players that you already know. We're gonna create our own universe and our own like separate timeline. And you're gonna fucking love it. It's gonna be like a little bit of Alan Moore. It's gonna be a little bit of Fantastic Four.
Oh man,
And it's so effective.
just I was just want to jump in and say her, Mrs. Incredible, is everything that I've always wanted Mr. Fantastic to be.
Oh, I'm telling you, like the second they show that lactic like split in half, I'm like, this is
Yeah.
the perfect superhero.
Instead of just making him like dance with ladies.
and flip his arms
And flip
about
his
like a
arms and stuff,
jackass.
yeah.
Stop wiggling around, you jackass.
Anyway, sorry.
And also giving us one of the best supervillains. Rewatching the first one, Syndrome is one of the most compelling supervillains.
Oh, Syndrome's
ever.
great. Yeah.
Like he's not wrong at all. He's
No.
very like Killmonger-esque. Rewatching it, because whenever the only thing he does wrong is he doesn't realize he has a bomb on his cape.
Yeah.
Jackass Frenchie threw
And
on
he
there.
does murder people.
No, I'm talking about before he turns.
Oh,
pure
right,
evil.
right, yeah.
Like he really just wants to help. He's like, dude, I'm a 10-year-old who built rocket boots.
And Mr. Incredible, that's great.
I flew to the 40th floor of a building. I can fly down and get the cops. It'll take 2 seconds.
He was a justified villain.
And then and that's I was like, that's a good motive, and also his plan is fucking terrifying.
I didn't know what the girl's plan was in this ultimately. Like, I don't understand her motivations at all.
I kind of feel like Screenslaver was more to like,
Screenslaver,
It
that's
was
it.
just pushed to the background. Like they didn't even show up until what, halfway into the movie.
It was because it felt like they were doing Syndrome again, but it had no personal connection to the characters.
To the characters,
That's why I kept
no.
waiting for a reveal of a
Right.
personal connection, and I was like, oh, there isn't one.
The second they told that Batman origin story of like, and she should have gone to the safe room. Like it's her.
Right.
Like,
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
There was no shock or surprise.
That's
And, like,
sort of the same with the first one. You're like, oh, Syndrome's evil. He's in a lava base.
well, I
You
mean,
know.
the dude's gonna be nothing good.
Right.
Like from like the second he meets him, he's got the robot beating the shit out of him.
Right.
But the first one I think does a really good job of balancing the parable of a midlife crisis with a superhero movie. And telling it expertly while doing an insane commentary on the war on terror, which had just started because it was 2004.
Yep. And learning the lesson that family is more important than work, which is always a main lesson for men in movies since the 1950s.
And that's a
Families,
ballsy fucking move for a Disney movie. Like there's a couple scenes when he's working at InsureCare where they portray it like this nihilistic nightmare of just clandestine white walls, and like Mr. Huff straightens his pencil out again.
And he nearly murders him.
You're like, oh my god, Bob Parr might put a gun in his mouth at the end of this movie. This is terrifying.
Right.
It's so bleak. So I do like the dichotomy, and then once you get to the fucking island, it turns into this insane Bond movie.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like rewatching it. I watched it twice, dude, before
nice.
the sequel. That whole scene, the second time Mr. Incredible goes back to the island, and you get like the guest treatment where he comes in on that cool manta ray plane,
Right, yeah.
and like those little pods. I'm like, all of this is executed perfectly.
Yeah.
Like there's just a craftsmanship to that movie that I admire.
Oh, for sure. Because it was such a ballsy original idea.
Oh yeah, and it's flawless. That universe is so immersive.
Which brings us to part
The second
2.
one is a little rickety. My only problems with it, like my major problem with it, is that the family stuff got a little too dichotomous. Like we're gonna put the superhero stuff over here with Elastigirl. We're gonna put all the domestic stuff over here with Bob.
With Bob, yeah.
Luckily, they were smart enough to punctuate it with Jack. Because that was just reveal that joke never
Which
got
was like
old.
the Jack Attack short they released.
Yes.
It was just that in the movie.
And how can you could tell they spent 17 years? How can we, or however, 14 years? How can we expand on this idea of like how many powers can we just bump out?
It's just what
What I love about this one, though, I think the reason why the whole lackluster supervillain doesn't bug me is that this movie came over a decade after the last one, where a ton of superhero movies have come out.
Oh,
We're
so many.
oversaturated. So this movie had a huge job to do of being like, really, we have to reinvent our own universe. And a lot of the commentary in this movie is like, are people a little too reliant on screens and superheroes? Is like, and I kind of dug that. Instead of it being like a commentary on the war on terror, this movie was like maybe
on social media,
and also like our fucking
control you
exactly, and also the fact that like you guys have this idealistic representation of what heroes mean, this elite class that you all fantasize about. Like to me that was really profound. Like that to me was like, this is why Brad Bird made this fucking movie. That's why I paid $12 for this ticket. That's why I'm gonna love
talking about
this
the first one.
Second one.
Brad Bird didn't make part 2, did he?
Yeah.
Did he?
Oh yeah, they all came back for number 2.
I did not realize Brad Bird did it. That makes me a little sad because I'm going to go into my my hate for it. Well, even though I didn't, but I'm gonna play it up.
Hold on. Yeah, it's him. Directed by and written by.
Written by and directed by Brad Bird. All right. Well, let me interject with this point. I said this to you earlier that back in 2004, I guess, or 2005, whenever the first one came out, or 6 or 7, I'm not even sure. Brad Bird was asked, would you ever do a sequel to The Incredibles? And he said, I will only do a sequel to The Incredibles if there's an absolutely story that needs to be told in that universe. This movie feels like let's just like picture yourself in a Disney boardroom going, all right, we got girl power, we got franchise recognition, and we got what else do we need? A superhero movie. What do we have in the tank that we can pull out for that? How about The Incredibles? And they just remade Incredibles 1, just slightly skewed. It was just the exact story but flipped. It wasn't about a midlife crisis, it was about a woman going out into the workplace.
Right.
Which again, set in the 1960s setting, was like this progressive angle to it, which is great. But
like that works for me though. If like it's a 3-story structure, let's say like the first one's about Bob kind of fucking the job up.
But was it a story that really needed to be told?
It reminds me of I think of like Bill Burr's F is for Family is a similar thing where it's all about like the first season.
No, I don't mean that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't mean that aspect of like her going out to the workforce. I just mean taking the story from the first one and flipping the roles. Is that really a story that needs to be told? Is that really like we're going to wait 15 years to think of something new, and in the end we're just going to sort of do the same movie again but flip the roles? Seemed a little odd to me. Like make something brand new.
Because halfway through that movie, there's one scene that really drove it home when they go to the fucking diner, and they're that Henry, his name Henry, I forget, Tony Ryan, Tony Ryanger, where Tony works, and Violet squirts the water out of her nose, which was one of the
that was really good,
fucking funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Our theater was the theater I went to was great. Every joke, they loved it. When the credits rolled, they lost their shit. Like there's just so much love for that movie in that room. In that scene, they have those red shitty frosted Pizza Hut glasses. And immediately I was like, this reminds me of National Lampoon's Vacation. Like Bob Parr's Chevy Chase, he's kind of this bumbling idiot dad, and then you got like Elastigirl's like this confident strong mother who puts up with her husband's kind of oafish material. 2 crazy kids. The fucking boy's a madhouse. The fucking girl's just introverted.
Right.
And I'm trying, like, for me, that second movie is about what happens as that family progresses.
Sure,
but as superheroes,
it's the same plot points from the first one.
That's what I was about to say. I'm like, they don't really earn anything in that movie, which so I'll give you that.
And I don't want you to know too much because I did really enjoy it. But the cracks in the armor were starting to show for Pixar in general. Where I was like, I'm getting that boardroom whiff off of this. I'm not. It doesn't feel like The Incredibles felt like we have a new studio. We're called Pixar Animation.
Right. We're
going to make some crazy shit and put it out there. This one felt like a lot of calculations going into ensuring a continued universe of superheroes. Even ending it with like the weirdly like superheroes aren't illegal anymore. Yay! Part 3's in the pipeline.
Right.
Like it just, I don't know. The corporate stink was a little too strong. But ultimately, I did really enjoy the movie, so I don't want to sound like a complete asshole.
Right.
But I don't know. It just felt a little calculated.
I mean, there's not a ton of like. In terms of like, when I think of like a good, like I hate to fucking compare it because I don't see these as superhero movies. These to me feel like Saturday morning cartoons.
Right.
Like next week on The Incredibles, and that's why it starts like 2 seconds after the last one.
Right,
it makes
first one,
perfect sense. If I were to compare it to another superhero movie, I would think of like Civil War, where I'm like, there's a reason you have to tell that story. Captain America has to group has to be fractured again
in order to
in order so they have to be called back together for Infinity War.
Yeah.
What was earned here? What was gained? What was risked? Not really.
It was
anything.
getting rid of that superhero law so we can have as many spin-offs and sequels as possible.
Right.
That's why it just felt like the checklist to me. Like, we need an interconnected universe. We need a recognizable intellectual property. Girl power makes a lot of money right now. So it's this stuff doesn't change the world. It just gets people arguing and makes tons of money. And it just kind of felt like another chapter in the continuing saga of, we don't actually give a fuck about the world. We're going to make a movie that everyone will scream at each other about.
Right.
And then, manipulate you into giving us all your money. And I know that's super cynical sounding, but I don't know when reality starts getting cynical.
The fact that, like, because I have here what do you call it? I thought it was interesting the way both antagonists are tech geniuses that are trying to use their abilities to equalize the playing field with, like, this higher class of people. And
Because she was trying to destroy superheroes, yeah?
yeah, she was trying to frame them, have them all just turn into, like, on national television, frame them with those goggles and shit, and like
build them up and then destroy them, even though they were already illegal. So I don't know why.
Well, like, basically, like, Elastigirl was doing well though, so she wanted to kind of do the same thing of, like, build them up and then break them, in front of
But
everybody.
they were already broken. You know what I mean? Like, they were already illegal.
The events of the first one,
But they had everyone's memories were erased. Remember, Violet's boyfriend's memory was erased, so no one even knew the events of the first one happened. So what was the point of building up Elastigirl?
I thought they erased his memory because he saw her without the mask.
Okay,
I think because because at the end of the first one, Deckard says to he's like, what about the politicians? Like, are we legal now? And he's like, let the politicians figure out. As far as we're concerned, like, don't worry about it.
So her whole plan was, even though they were already illegal,
I think I guess you could argue she saw. Also, I like to pose that the second time Catherine Keener has been using mind control.
That was Catherine
yeah,
Keener,
I was waiting for her to pull out a little saucer and start steering it. Now sink.
Right.
But anyways,
Elastigirl just sinks.
Yeah. Now you're in a sunken place.
It was bugging me. I was like, why do I know this voice?
To me, I thought maybe like she saw those newscasters. Her boyfriend,
Her brother.
Her brother was getting all
Whoa.
fucking. They were a little too close for me. Odin Kirk and his fucking sister were a little too close for me. I'm imagining she could see where the puck was going. Her brother was getting all excited. He's going to fucking contact the Incredibles and have them become like this poster family.
Planning.
And she was like, I have to put a pin in this plan because fuck superheroes. They got my father killed.
Right.
So I kind of think that there is something to be said that, like, it was a rehash, but the themes in that movie I feel are still prevalent now.
That's fair. And again, I don't want to sound like a complete asshole because it was really good.
Yeah.
But can I point out one nitpick? Pixar used to be the king of making voices and facial movements line up.
Oh, you didn't like the performances in this one?
85% were great. But usually, no, it's not the vocal performances, it's how the animated face lines up to the vocalization.
Okay.
And DreamWorks Animation is terrible at it. Like, everyone except Pixar is terrible at it, where it sounds like there is a definite disconnect between a guy in a booth or a girl in a booth recording a voice and then the way the character's acting with that voice coming out of their mouth. Pixar has always been spot on perfect.
Even with fish.
Yeah. In this one, I noticed there were several times where I'm like, well, he just curled his lip, but he didn't say something in which would create that vocalization of a lip curl. Like, there was about 20% of the movie of lines being delivered. I was like, the face didn't quite line up to and I noticed it in Coco too. Because I wasn't a huge fan of Coco, and
I haven't seen that one yet.
The ending rips your heart out. So it's like, wow him in the end, and you got a hit. Everything leading up to the ending is kind of but then the ending's great. But I won't say anything more than that.
I'm gonna watch that one.
Yeah,
screen at the park.
I noticed that a few times in Coco too, where I'm like, well, the character's doing like a big facial movement, but the voice is really standard coming out of this big facial movement. I'm like, Pixar's never done that before.
Right.
Like, they've always been the kings of making it line up.
Like fluid.
My
favorite example of that is Sully. Like, everything, like, there's a couple moments where he just contorts his face and you're right. Like, they match it.
They match it perfectly. And I kept noticing, I was like, why is this feeling like Kung Fu Panda all of a sudden? Where it's like the bear is making this huge face and Jack Black's voice is just monotone.
Right,
what the fuck's happening? That really bugged me.
On that note, all of them sounded okay. I didn't really think Holly... is it Holly Hunter who played Elastigirl?
Holly Hunter.
Didn't sound that bad, but Craig T. Nelson, I definitely noticed.
Sounding old.
Like a couple of lines where Mr. Krill's like, well, we're superheroes. And I was like, oh, that's adorable.
That's what happens when you wait 15 years.
That's right.
And the guy get a new kid. Oh, here's a question for you, because I honestly don't know. The guy that kept protecting Bob in the first one, the government guy, was he voiced by...
Nope. That actor passed away.
Yeah,
and
okay.
they got Jonathan Banks, aka Mike from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, because as soon as I heard it, I was like, "That's Mike from Breaking Bad," and I was like, "I don't know how to feel about this because if the guy passed away, which I didn't know at the time, you'd think they would have gotten in someone who does impressions in to copy the voice exactly."
Yeah.
And it kind of felt like, let's just get a celebrity in here, which again clicked my cynical brain
because it stuck out. It stuck out to me too because
it really stuck out to me.
Yeah, because like he's got such a distinct voice. I mean, you could have gotten anybody. Like,
you could have gotten anyone.
You found like somebody who sounded like the kid. I guess it's not hard to find obnoxious sounding boy.
Kid. That's all they are.
There's billions in Hollywood. There's so many of them. But yeah, that's all they are. Sorry, I went to take a second.
But yeah, that was weird because I was like, "What? Why is Jonathan Banks in this?"
Yeah,
I had to look it up, and I was like, "Why? He wasn't." Huh.
But I gotta say, man, like little beats that I loved, fucking anything with Edna hanging out with Jack, fucking genius. Like pairing those two characters off was you'd feel like somewhere in production like that is perfect. Just the connection. Like
her like hate kids and then love kids.
Oh, the moment that, but it wasn't just kids in general. It was because this kid was such a fucking nightmare. She was like, "This is a challenge." As a psychotic artist myself, I can totally empathize. Like, why am I going to do this? I don't know, but I fucking have to do it.
Yeah, right.
I thought that was like just that reaction. Yes, my audience lost their mind.
That was a good one.
It was a good line. So perfect. And the scene where the Arkham Knight scene, where Elastigirl's tracking the signal. It was straight out of one of those Batman Arkham games. She has to find the signal of where the screenslaver is.
Oh, right.
So she's even gliding like Batman.
Yeah.
The color palette looked like Gotham City. And she goes into this one room, and it turns it... They must have referenced David Fincher's Seven. Because
it was straight up.
Oh, yeah.
Very Seven.
My favorite was her part where her hand goes under the door and she reaches up for the latch, and you just see the screenslaver vaguely in shadows. My theater, dude, people just went... Like, you see him just this creepy, like, in the background. And it was legitimately disturbing. It was horrifying. And there was a couple moments when she slaps the glasses onto Helen's face when she puts together that it was her.
She starts figuring things out.
Yeah, where I was just like, man, these are... Brad Bird clearly spent a lot of time making Mission Impossible movies. The way he staged...
Even though I hate those movies, but still.
But
he
still,
only did one, didn't he?
I think he's done two.
I thought he just did the fourth one.
The what's it called? Ghost Protocol, which was Jeremy Renner. I watched that one. It wasn't bad.
I only like the first Mission Impossible. I don't really like any of it, but that's a whole other podcast.
But just the way he, quote unquote, moved the camera around, and like the way he positioned a lot of shots, I was like, it's so cinematically handled that way. It didn't just feel like
he's learned from his live action.
It was great. Like. And also, I don't know if they did motion capture, but there was a couple scenes.
I think they proudly don't.
It's amazing. There was a couple scenes where just the way they move, like the performances were so natural.
Yeah.
They could tell, like, don't just have them deliver this line, have them deliver it like a human being would.
Yeah.
They paid a lot of attention to the minutia of body language. That's just maybe the faces, the mouths didn't line up very well, but
I always find hand drawn body movement is way better than motion capture, because motion capture, like I always reference. Do you remember that Beowulf movie? One of the first CGI motion capture films.
Now I do, yeah.
And there's a scene where Beowulf is running, and he just looks like what he is. He looks like an upright, evolved primate, like monkeying his way running.
Right.
And like when you actually shoot live action, you tend to cut around how weird we actually look.
It's true. There's nothing graceful about it. It's like we've been trained to like walk and run a certain way.
We can barely walk upright as it is.
You're just if you don't believe us, like look out the window at anyone walking down the street.
Right.
It's embarrassing.
And so motion capture,
myself included,
motion capture tends to be I have legs like a chimpanzee. But motion capture tends to be so focused on recreating actual human movements, they kind of forget that when you're shooting actual people, you tend to try to not show those awkward actual human movements. So hey, like I don't want to 100% say this, but I'll 98% say this, that Pixar will never like rotoscope or animate over live action. They're quite proud of their hand.
It looked
crafted
great.
animation.
There was a couple of scenes, specifically what's her name, his sister. Evelyn, just the way there was a couple scenes where she'd be talking, just the way her hair looked and the fabric. I'm like, they are really not fucking around over there now.
But I mean, ultimately, it was great. It just, I think I'm starting. Like, we've done so many of these movies in the past 3 months now that I'm like, I've always been seeing the cracks in the armor, but now the light's starting to shine through them of this like corporate fucking agenda
I liked it.
of this, just this system that doesn't care about making the world a better place, but will make people argue to make a profit.
Therein lies the question, though. Has that always been there? Like, we're movie fans to the dawn of time. You know
I think you know what it is. It's like how Scully, because remember there was the first political correct wave that happened in the 90s. So like Scully was a result of that. You know, she's a woman FBI agent. She's strong and she doesn't take any shit from anybody. It was always subtle to kind of reflect the times. Now it's insane, right? Yeah. Like now it's this movement that is just and pure has been taken over by horrible shitheads, extremist and fringe elements, and the studios know. They I don't think it was ever a tactic before,
right?
Because now they know, like, oh, if we make this movie about feminism or about some sort of hot button issue, we're going to draw so much more attention to it,
right?
And it's calculated and it's sinister, and they don't give a fuck about the actual world. They just care about rustling the world up to get a big box office.
I think that they learned after that Ghostbusters movie where, like, when people started losing their shit over this ridiculous sexism argument about that flick when it was just a goddamn bad movie.
Because that's from the... Remember they leaked the emails from Sony, and it was straight up. They were like, we need to focus on the feminist agenda in order to sell tickets. We need to create an argument.
Everyone took note of that.
Yeah.
I noticed it a lot for Black Panther. Like, even though I stand by everything I love about that movie, it was like it's a transcendent movie that will stand the test. It wins all the Oscars. I'm like, guys, it's a superhero movie. Yes, it has a very profound message, but it's still a superhero movie. The
message of that movie is the fact that movie exists.
Yeah.
A lot less than Disney, who donated millions of dollars to Trump and doesn't give a fuck about black people.
And that's seriously.
Right? Like,
just turned into Kanye for a second.
You gotta Mike Myers me. You just gotta stand awkwardly and then like keep the conversation going.
With your donations, Walt Disney will be able to.
Right. So like, I don't know. I think I'm getting too jaded. We need to start doing podcasts about...
I think we just need to watch more peripheral shit, dude. You want to watch Hereditary? I want to do Hereditary.
Yeah, Hereditary looks great.
Yeah.
I think we should start doing... I don't know if any... Like, we don't get a lot of hits now. I'm not sure how many we'd get if we started doing, like, weird avant-garde, like, cinema from the 60s and shit. Ooh. But I would love to do, like, crazy stuff.
I wonder if...
I want you to watch The Lower Depths. It's, like, my favorite film of all time.
Down right now. Okay, I actually thought of one for you to watch.
Yeah, okay, cool.
For a few dollars more.
Oh, that's the Man with No Name trilogy is, like, at the top of my list of
so you've seen that.
films. Yeah.
Okay, well, fuck that. You don't get to watch something awesome then. I honestly kind of want you to watch Jackass 3D.
I could, because I'm gonna hate it. I can tell you right now, because I've seen tons of Jackass material, and I'm always like, this is why people are horrible in 2018 now.
It's art. It's the purest form of art, I tell you.
This was the bedrock of some douchebag not believing in global warming, so he hooks up something to his fender or to his exhaust to put out more pollutants into the atmosphere. This is the seed that led to some horrible people. Not everyone.
Listen, the integrity it takes to take a Hot Wheels car, put it in a condom, and stick it up your asshole, walk in to an X-ray. That is commitment. That is
very Tom Green.
No, that was Ryan. God rest his soul.
Green, I gotta give Tom Green credit that he's pre-Jackass.
What's the difference between Tom Green and Jackass?
Nothing. And Tom Green came first.
Okay.
So Tom Green is sort of the Canadian seed that grew the tree of Jackass.
I don't know, man. I could honestly, this is going to turn into a 4-hour podcast if I opened up the Jackass can of worms because I love that series so much.
Oh yeah, no, and I don't want to be an asshole. This is not for me.
Trust me, I know it's like the most baseline, disgusting frat boy humor ever. Unfortunately, frat boys watch it, but I don't find it fratty. Right. Those guys are not frat guys. Maybe Pontius.
They just knew who to make money off of.
Exactly, and that's what I love. It was just this weird window in time where they were like, "Oh my god, MTV gave us a show to like us, the biggest group of fucking idiots ever," and it became $1 million success and spawned 3 movies.
You kind of just described Freddy Got Fingered.
It's just, but like, I don't know. To me, like. There's so much whenever you capture that much lunacy, and it's shot so well. Like for how stupid it is. The director of photography, Dimitri. I actually got to meet him once whenever they did a Jackass tour.
Yeah?
They all came here. It was Preston, Wee Man, Aaron McGeehee, Dave England, Chris Pontius, and Dimitri was shooting it. They were like, we might release it through Dick House, our production company. He's got such a good eye for filming this shit. Like you're like, you'll never see a fucking dildo shot out of a cannon pass through a glass of milk so artistic. More artfully ever.
But back to Jurassic World and Incredibles 2. To bring it all home, what would you give Jurassic World out of, say, 5 stars?
I would say like a 3, dude. I didn't hate it
I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it.
I liked it more than Jurassic World, to be honest with you.
I'm a sucker for the theme park concept.
Yeah. Honestly, when I was thinking about it today, if I watched Jurassic Park and then watched that as the sequel, I would like it a lot more.
Really?
But knowing that it came 3 movies way too late...
See, I think in 20, 30 years, I only want Jurassic Park and Jurassic World as like the less than stellar sequel, but at least a direct continuation.
I'm not saying like I would cut out Jurassic World. You need that one, otherwise this one's just a nightmare.
Even though it's kind of what could have been Jurassic Park 2.
That's what I'm thinking. Like it felt like a fan fiction of Jurassic Park. The second part. So
Lost
honestly,
World.
like I might do that when it comes out on video. Just watch 1 and then 5.
Pretend that's Alan Grant and not Alan
even. Just like
Thunderguns.
this is some random
people.
Yeah, it's like fucking Muldoon's co-worker Owen that you never saw that also trained the Raptors. Like have it be like what I wish Star Wars was like, where we have this idea of the whole world and just these are the characters that pop up on the radar
around it. Yeah,
around it. So like. I don't know. Like, again, if it was the sequel to Jurassic Park, I think I would have liked it a lot more.
And if it was called Dinosaur Adventure Film, I would have liked it more because it just again, it's very singular to my perspective. But it's not Jurassic Park unless it's a theme park running amok. When it's not a theme park running amok, I don't give a shit because I'm like, that's every other movie with a dinosaur in it.
And also, I can't have any sympathy, interest, or suspension of disbelief whenever you're taking dinosaurs off the island. I know exactly where that's going. Like
or for clones. Here's the thing. I know that as an audience, we were supposed to be like, clones are people too at the end, but I think if in that situation, I would have turned around and shot that thing in the head.
That would be an amazing ending. Just fucking Owen's like, everyone okay?
Everyone good?
Everyone good?
You good? Dinosaurs still
You heard her,
in?
she was like the dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs are still in. These are all monsters created by science. Man playing God. All right. And I would give it, I think, the same, about 2.5 to 3 out of 5. 50, 60%.
They also stole the fucking smash cut, kill the bad guy ending from Deadpool 2.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did. And so Incredibles 2?
Oh, dude, I would give that a 5, a 4.5.
4.5?
I loved it.
I'm a little, like, I loved it, but I think... it's sort of like it's like McDonald's version of a delicious burger that you love. So I'm like I think it'd be 3 out of 5 kind of thing.
I mean, again, you can't. The first one is a solid 5.
Solid
you
5.
Can't touch it
because it's so unique. It's so original. It's back when they took risks.
Yeah,
there was no real risks in this movie. It was very safe. Played it very safe.
Yeah, aside from the commentary of this people being reliant on their phones, which
that's
isn't
also
really
very safe.
saying nothing new.
Anything new. So I had 3 out of 5, and yeah, I think.
Listen to it like 60 times. Oh, it's so good.
And also, guys, don't forget to check us out at spaceactionheroes.com. Just want to bookend this with a little spaceactionheroes.com plug after talking about the horrors of online social media and the way we interact as people now, which is barely human.
Ignore your loved ones and read a comic book online.